my goodness.
Wow.
Okay, Bobby V.
No.
Lewis Brinson. Will Middlebrooks. Have you ever...
No.
I mean, look, I am sitting here and trying to understand what I just watched. It was one of the greatest games I've ever seen. Lewis, your initial thoughts here. The Dodgers just came back in a game. This is bonkers.
This is insane. Literally, probably one of the best games we'll ever witness watching in the World Series ever. Period. World Series, regular season, anything. One of the best games ever played, ever, man. What an effort by both teams. I've said it from the beginning, and I did call the Dodgers in 7 at the beginning, but I took the Blue Jays today. But the Dodgers, once again, man, the right the right just cohesive unit of superstars. Just you have the right superstars on this team. You don't just have big names that hit a bunch of homers. You got 3 MVPs at the top, and then 1 through 9. You got guys that just stepped up in a timely manner, and then Yamamoto, man. Period. Dot. Period. Dot. Yamamoto, man. Wow.
Bobby, come on. I mean, my goodness.
God.
Yeah,
Watch
wow.
7 games. And
8 games.
Right,
We saw 2 in one day.
Like, the 18-inning game was bonkers. This game, you could argue, was just as crazy.
Yeah, but you know, I think it's usually the team that plays the best, not the best team that wins. Here, the best team won, but they didn't play the best, and I feel bad for the Jays because in this 7-game series, they played their hearts out. They had a couple tough breaks.
And get it, right? This is a guy that nobody wanted, and he had a really great season for the Toronto Blue Jays. Miguel Rojas had not homered since September 19th. September 19th.
Of what year?
The 9-hole hitter. 7th pitch of the at-bat, a 3-2 count. I mean, this is what dreams are made of. And this was a guy that came into this World Series as a starter late. And here in Game 7, he plays the role of hero because there's many in this World Series, Game 7. What did you see from Miguel Rojas to work the count and just have one of the best at-bats of his life?
Yeah, well, I want to rewind, a couple games back. If Andy Paez wasn't playing awfully, Miggy Rojas wouldn't even be in this game because Tommy Edman would be at second, Paez would be in center, and Rojas would be a bat off the bench or a defensive replacement late in games. That was his role on this team. But they didn't want to start Alex Call in center field. They wanted more experience. And Doc Roberts went with his gut feeling of, I trust Miguel Rojas. And that's why he's on this team. That's why he's on the roster. That's why he's going to start these last 3 games of the World. Grind out his career to this point. He made it into this one moment, right? Everything before this in his career is gone forever. This is the one moment, right? You hit this homer to tie this thing up when the Dodgers had no business winning this game.
And then
that's the biggest swing of his life he'll ever take.
His play in the bottom of the 9th where he stumbles and still fires a strike to the plate, and Will Smith almost didn't touch home plate.
Listen, as a former teammate of Miggy Rowe's, Miggy Rowe deserves this. Miggy Rowe is an amazing big leaguer. Miggy Rowe works his butt off. Miggy Rowe is an amazing defender, as you guys saw, witness firsthand of why he was in this game. And I said from the beginning, I'm like, this is a good move. The Dodgers need more defense. They need better defense. And to Will's point, Doc Roberts trusts this guy.
Yeah.
And I know why from experience. He works his butt off, man. And everything that he has gotten up to this point, he deserves because he works his butt off and he plays for his family. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He plays for his kids. He plays for his wife. And this guy deserves this moment, man. I'm really, really happy for Miggy. I'm, happy for the Dodgers. I do feel terribly for the Blue Jays. But at the same time, Miggy Rowe, what a moment, man. And again, as a former teammate, I say congratulations, man. You deserve this, buddy.
Yeah, and he was in there because of his defense. Yeah, it was better, but he was in there because of his attitude.
Yep.
He was in there because Dave Roberts knew that team of all-stars, of MVPs, of super players needed him in the lineup. And
We talked about how bottom of the order production was something the Blue Jays were elite at.
Yep.
It wasn't something we saw throughout this series from the Dodgers, but Miguel Rojas hits the game-tying home run in the top of the 9th inning. I mean, this is just ridiculous. And then, look, Toronto had the bases loaded with 1 out in the bottom of the 9th, no run scored. Then the Dodgers had the bases loaded with 1 out in the top of the 10th and no run scored. And then it's Will Smith, who we're sitting there watching this game. And Lewis, I looked at you and go, I don't want to face him right now. This is scary.
Yeah.
And then he goes hanging slider and crushes one to left off of Bieber.
I mean, the last few games, like Will Smith, there's a reason why he moved up behind Shohei, right? Yep. I mean, been swinging a hot bat. He's had big hits for this team for years now. And again, I just had that feeling, and I'm sure Will did too, and Bobby did, like, I don't know if I want to face this guy. You hang one to face Will Smith, and he came through for his team, man.
You talked about lineup changes, right? And the fact that Miguel Rojas was into this game, into this series because of struggles by Andy Pages. Will noted that. Think about the fact that Will Smith moved up because why? Mookie Betts was struggling. They won the World Series. Mookie Betts went 4 for 29 with 2 RBI. Will Smith moved up in the lineup. It's these moments that these guys, these superstars in Los Angeles rise to the occasion because Will Smith didn't miss that pitch and he wasn't going to miss it, Bobby.
And at one time, the manager used to get credit for all that. Now people are going to think that this was some backroom decision that moved Mookie down. It was Dave Roberts who had the pulse of that team, who knew that Mookie was a superstar who was struggling and had the guts as a manager to go over to Mookie and say, Mook, I hope you get an RBI, but I don't really believe in you as much as I used to. He might not have said that, but he did move him down, and that gave the credit and the confidence to the other players in his team. Dave Roberts deserves a lot of credit. He won't get it, but he sure deserves it.
Will, if I had told you before the World Series that Mookie Betts, a guy you know well, would go 4 for 29 with 2 RBI, would you have told me the Dodgers would have found a way to win the World Series, or you would have said, no, the Blue Jays would probably beat them?
Well, when you look at that roster, they always have a chance to beat you, right? That's the beauty of having a team like that is one of your superstars can be MIA and you can still win ball games, especially when you have pitching like that. And by the way, one of those teams wins or loses. And there were 5 or 6 of those plays over the last 3 or 4 innings that made or broke that team, the game for these teams. So this was one of the most well-played defensive games I've seen in a long time, and it being in Game 7 and part of it being in extra innings made it that much more special.
We thought perhaps Bo Bichette would have his moment. He hit the 3-run homer, and we thought maybe that would be one to win it for the Blue Jays. They've had so many epic home runs in their franchise history. Joe Carter in 1993, the last time they won the World Series, was a walk-off. You thought maybe Vladdy would hit one, and he almost did. And Will, when you look back at this Blue Jays team, look, no one expected them to be here. They were listed at plus 6,500 to win the Fall Classic before the season started. I grew to love this Blue Jays team. I didn't like this Blue Jays team when the playoffs started. I was like, the Blue Jays? And then the way they played the game, Will, I fell in love with this team. And now, look, I'm a Cleveland Guardians fan, but I'm heartbroken right now for Blue Jays fans and for that roster that gutted it out every inning to try to bring a trophy to their franchise.
Look, this is the style of baseball that unfortunately is an anomaly in today's game. Right, it's got to cycle back, and hopefully teams took note of this. And I understand. Look,
it most certainly is. Ryan Smith, Doug Glanville, Trevor Scales still reeling from a wonderful Game 7 in that World Series. The Los Angeles Dodgers overcome the 3-2 deficit to get their 9th World Series title in franchise history in an unbelievable way.
Epic, instant classic, call it what you want to, but the Dodgers are repeat champions, and they did it in fantastic. I tell you, there is no higher pressure situation than a winner-take-all game. For the Dodgers, it might just be a walk in the park because they have now won 5 straight winner-take-all games. Smith. That's tied with those Giants teams of the 2010s for the second longest streak ever.
Unreal stuff by those Dodgers. You know that they are built for this. Series by series, it became evident throughout this postseason. Doug Glanville still here with us on Sports Center.
Well.
And just the championship medal, where did you see it most from this Dodger squad?
Well, you see it in their starting rotation, their pitchers. And, there was a little bump in the road somewhat when earlier in the series, the Blue Jays were out pitching them to some degree when you talk about the starters. Blake Snell was kind of struggling, but Yamamoto was that anchor. He became the de facto ace of this. And they came back around now in Game 7 where everybody contributed from that rotation. They became their own relievers. And that really separated them from the Blue Jays.
Talk about Yamamoto, though, because this is a guy, we said it a couple times there, pitched in Game 6 and yet comes back in Game 7 and does what he does. Put into context what Yoshinobu Yamamoto is doing in this postseason in terms of pitching.
I mean, well, first of all, you talk about next level, well, you have to go higher than that. I mean, it's the command, it's the calm, it's the fact that he threw 96 pitches yesterday and then closes this game out. I mean, just mastery. He didn't lose any velocity within the day. He was painting control. I mean, that's almost impossible to do back to back.
Every bit of the arsenal was available.
Every
to
bit.
him. And he became just the second pitcher. I want to make sure I get this right. Second pitcher in the last 50 years to win 3 World Series games in 1 World Series. But specifically to Will Smith. Him stepping on it on the top of the 11th gives the Dodgers the lead with that solo shot. What did you see him seeing there?
Well, Will Smith is highly underrated in some respects, right? 3-time All-Star. So you hear about Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. Well, Will Smith has been carrying the team earlier in the season. So it's not shocking that he has this kind of pop, but he got hot. Sometimes when he gets in that pull mode, he's got the power to go with it.
And he played the hero when it counted tonight with that big decisive homer. This is new on SportsCenter. Will Smith, World Series hero, speaks.
Will Smith described that incredible Game 7.